Good morning, people. What a morning to wake up to. We're in Palm Springs in California for the launch of this beautiful motorcycle. This is the Bear 650. Why on earth is it called the Bear 650 and why the hell are we in California? But there was a little boy called Eddie many years ago who lined up on the Big Bear Lake rally, one of the biggest rallies back in the day. He was a rookie, lined up next to some 765 participants and managed to win that race in his very first outing on a Royal Enfield Scrambler. So it was only befitting that they built the Scrambler as a respect, as a tribute for him. But now coming back to the bike, as you can see, it's a proper Scrambler. You have a 19-inch front, you have a 17-inch rear, you have a wider 140 section rear tire, you have a bench seat. At the front you have upside down forks, the suspension is Showa both back and front. You have 130 mm of travel at the front, 115 at the back, so a lot more travel compared to the Interceptor 650. The biggest change, of course, is the 2-in-1 exhaust, which sounds so freaking wicked, which has also helped shed a decent amount of weight. This one is about 3 kgs lighter than the Interceptor and is also more powerful. So in terms of power, it's the same power figure, but I think this makes around 4 Newton meters torque more, and it's not a peak. They have spread it across the rev band. About 186 millimeters of ground clearance, so more ground clearance, which will come handy when you go bombing on any of the trails. This is definitely a lot more upright. The handlebar sits a little bit taller and a little bit further away from you compared to the Interceptor. The seat height is 830 millimeters, but the way they've scooped it closer to the tank, it is not as intimidating. You can get your feet on the ground quite easily. You also get the TFT dash from the Himalayan with the navigation and everything. In terms of the gear ratios, yes, you have 3 more teeth on the rear sprocket. But again, in terms of actual gear ratio, this is quite similar to the Interceptor. Mainly, the changes have been made to compensate for the different wheels, the different wheel sizes. So otherwise, in terms of the tank size, is exactly the same. This is the first motorcycle, the first 650, which has all LED lighting. Even the brakes are exactly the same. You have adjustable levels, which is a really nice touch. And the other thing which you can do on this compared to the Interceptor is you can actually switch off the rear ABS. So when you hit a trail, you'll have a lot more control because you'll be able to lock the rear wheel. Also, in terms of character and the way this feels, the way it rides, it already feels much more distinctive compared to the Interceptor. The engine is still sweet, still really refined. The gearbox is great, but it's just the torque. You can feel the torque kick in, and I'll, of course, will experience more of it when we really open her up, when we hit the twisties. The wheelbase on this is longer as well. I think it's a solid 1460 millimeters now. Got the raked out front. Of course, you have a 19-inch front wheel, and that's also going to help this be a lot more stable on the straights at higher speeds. Yeah, you can see how windy this is. The reason why you have so many windmills here, the crosswinds are strong. So this is where the stability of the Bear 650 is really coming to the fore. With the longer wheelbase, the bike feels a lot more sure-footed. And to summarize, I think in many ways this is what the Interceptor should have been. because we have always loved the engine on the Interceptor. It's such a beautiful engine, and the one on this is even more impressive with the extra torque because it makes the motorcycle that much more engaging, that much more fun to ride, and even more versatile, even more tractable when you're riding around in the city. Along with the engine now, especially on the Bear 650, now you have the suspension setup, you have the ergonomics which go hand in hand. The biggest step that they have made, I think, is on the suspension front. You have a little more travel. Especially the front is something which I absolutely love in the twisty bits. Gives you so much confidence. We were riding at speeds that we should not have been riding on a scrambler, on the curvy bits up in the mountains. The rear shock, I wish it was as good as the front because it does a pretty decent job in terms of striking that balance between comfort and sportiness, but it is a little bit on the stiffer side, and I would definitely like some rebound damping. Because the roads, especially up in the mountains, were not the best, and there were a lot of times where we would come up in a corner and there would be a big bump in the middle, and especially on the sharp edges, when you would hit them, it would throw you off the seat. So the shock could be a little bit better, especially when you compare it to the front. The other thing which kind of left me wanting were the brakes. I'm not 100% sure if it's actually the brakes or the tire. The tire, the block pattern, they've done a fantastic job because this is by far the most confidence-inspiring for a dual-purpose tire, on-off tire, especially in the corners. But I feel it is kind of lacking in terms of outright grip. So especially when you're braking, I felt like the braking power was overpowering the grip that was available, and I could feel a lot of skidding. So that's where I felt it could be a little bit better. But also in terms of ergonomics, I was a little bit skeptical about if this was too wide, because you're kind of sitting in a more aggressive riding position. No, I mean, you got used to it really well. It fit my 5'11" frame really well. Even the seat, it is a bench seat, but for a bench seat, it is very well cushioned. And even after a long day of riding, I found it to be very, very comfortable. Overall, I think the Bear 650 checks all the right boxes, even in terms of the pricing at 3.4 lakhs. I think it hits that sweet spot between the GT and the shotgun. It's stacked right in the middle, which is great. It was a fantastic experience to ride it here, and I cannot wait to ride it back home and bring you a more comprehensive review. Until then, ciao.